Okay, so for these two last files, we have Puppet Warp. Okay, so I am going to show you how to use Puppet Warp, what it can do, some little tricks with it. Okay, and what I want you to submit for the week 3 participation is going to be using Puppet Warp, make this beautiful giraffe, do a different pose, and then on this other file, I want you to pinch the fingers together. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so Puppet Warp works by laying out a mesh where you can put pins in to hold and transform around. Okay, so it's actually a pretty powerful tool that doesn't get used as much as it probably should. So I'm going to show you some of the ins and outs of that. So Puppet Warp is found underneath Edit, Puppet Warp. Okay, in this case, Puppet Warp does not have a keyboard shortcut. If you really wanted to, if you were using it a ton, you can go into your preferences and make a custom shortcut for it. Okay, but I do use it, but not that often. All right. So Puppet Warp works best again when there is an image that's been cut out and separated. And you notice immediately what happens is it puts a mesh of triangles, okay, across the image. Now up at the top are going to be your, again, every tool has its options up at the top. Okay, the mode should be normal. We'll play with that first. The density, you can do fewer points if you want to transform around or more. We're just going to keep normal for now. The expansion is how far past the edge of the image. Okay, do you want to warp? 2 pixels is fine. You can always take it down to, you can take it down to negative numbers actually. You can put it at 0. It's not really going to affect anything right now. Okay, the show mesh, as you were working with this, as you start to play with the pins, you can turn the mesh on and off if it kind of gets in the way. All right, so you'll notice you have a little thumbtack looking thing. Okay, wherever you place this, you'll put a pin. Okay, with that pin, okay, you will need at least 2. So I'm going to put one down here at the base of the neck. Okay, and now if I click on this pin up here, okay, I can start to move my object around. Okay, I can pull it in, pull it down, okay, scale it up even further. All right, if I wanted to move this pin or remove it, okay, if I hold down Alt and click on it, I'll remove the pin. Okay, so the trick with Puppet Warp is using enough pins to get the results that you want. If you use too many, it just becomes a total mess. Okay, so I'm going to put one here at the base of the jaw. Okay, put one at the base of the neck. I'm going to pin this down here on the legs because I don't want it to move. I'm just going to mess with the neck for now. So I have 4 pins. I'm going to come up here, click on this pin, and I'm going to start to drag around a little bit. Okay, so I can pull this head down, and Puppet Warp will do its best to sort of naturally transform it. Okay, now if I hold down Alt and hover outside of the pin, I can rotate around the pin. Okay, so I can pull things around. You pull too far, it'll break the image. Okay. But this is a really good way to move things specifically into place. Right, so if I want to pull the neck down, okay, I'm going to put a pin right there. That'll probably help. Okay. So I'm going to pull this neck down, hold Alt, rotate it in. Okay. These I'll probably need to pull out just a little bit to make it not look weird and goofy. Okay. All right, so I have lowered the giraffe's neck. If I hit Return or Enter, okay, it applies the transformation. Okay, hit Command Z, I can step back. Command Shift Z, that's where I'm at. Okay. So from here, what I'm going to do is raise a leg and put the head behind the leg. So I'm going to try this again. Go to Edit, Puppet Warp. Okay. I want to pin the upper part of the body here in place so it doesn't move. Okay, I think Puppet Warp usually works best on animals and on people if you put the pins where the joints are. Okay, it tends to bend it a little more naturally. Okay, I don't want this other leg to move, so I'm going to pin it in place here and here. Okay, and I'm going to pull this leg up. And like many things in Photoshop, it works best if you do it in small bunches. Okay, if you try and do too much at once, you're going to get some terrible, terrible distortions. By the way, this is the start of some of the tools I'm going to teach you that can terrify your enemies. Okay, lots of fun things you can do. Okay, so you'll notice as I do this, let me turn the show mesh off, the head is behind the leg. What Puppet Warp allows you to do is to change your pin depth. So if I put a pin in the face right here, okay, you'll notice it pops to the front. Okay, if I want to bring the leg back in front again, up here you see, and it's really small, next to pin depth, you can bring it up, okay, or bring it down. Okay, you can also do that with the brackets, but it's easier, honestly, to do it this way. Okay. All right, so what I want you to do with the giraffe is go ahead and move it into a different position. You can, I give you total permission to play around a little bit with the mesh. And what I mean by that is if you go to the mode, if you go to rigid, okay, it's going to try and keep things very stiff. Okay. If you go to distort, here's where it's fun. As you start to play around, you'll notice, right, I can give my giraffe a tiny head. I can pull this out, okay, pull this down, okay. Sir Mix-a-Lot, anybody, right? So you absolutely may, on this one, experiment with and create some sort of hideous abomination that makes the angels weep. Okay, that's fantastic. Look at our giraffe that's going to come through your window tonight. Okay, so feel free to play around with that a bit and see what you can do. Now on the second one here, on the Puppet Warp hand, I'm going to give you a few tips and then I want you to do it. Now, what we want to do here with the hand is we do not want to distort this hand. I'm just going to change the position of the fingers. So I'm going to go to Edit, Puppet Warp. Okay, and again, remember I have to be on the correct layer. All right, don't Puppet Warp your background. So if you don't see this, you're not on the right layer. So normal, density normal, totally fine. Here is where I would put a pin in the joints. Here, put one up here, and pin some of these in place and at the wrist so I don't distort too much. Okay. Pardon me, you're going to have to play around with this. So I can start to bend, and I don't want to bend too far, the fingers towards each other. Okay, the thumb like that. Okay, I'm going to have to pull in a little bit. And remember, if I hold down Alt, hover outside of the pin I have selected, I can rotate. All right, so I want you to put the fingers together like he's having a spicy meatball, okay? Pinch the fingers together and try and make it look as natural as possible.